Welcome to Dream and Do, a podcast for women who are chasing their dreams, rediscovering who they are, and are ready to make changes, big or small. I'm your host, Nicola Ray Wickham. Join me for confidence pep talks, soulful insights, and practical tips on all things creativity and wellness, along with powerful conversations with women who are dreaming and doing in action. This is the stuff you're going to wish you knew years ago, but don't worry, it's not too late. Let's get started. Hey loves, and welcome to episode 14 of the Dream and Do podcast. This is actually the final episode of the first season, and it wraps up the interview series of the first season. I'm definitely going to be recording some solo episodes to get us between here and the official start of the season 2 interview series. But this is the final of season 1, which I know has probably been like the most long drawn out season, right? But you know, that's how we roll. And I'm so excited about this episode, and I have to kind of preface it with a little bit of a story, because this episode came about in quite a kind of magical way. A few months ago, I was sitting at home. I don't know if any of you remember, but there was a documentary on Channel 4 called Misfits Like Me. And it was about vitiligo, and it was about a girl and her journey to become more comfortable with her vitiligo. And I sat there watching it. I didn't watch it live. I taped it, and I watched it the next day when the house was empty. And I literally just cried through the whole episode. I found it hugely emotional. And the reason I found it so emotional is some of you will know this story, some of you won't, but I have a birthmark on my left eye. And it's something that I've only really started speaking about in last year, late 2017. And it's something that I really had to reconcile with myself. But after going on my own self-discovery journey and doing my own kind of personal development work, I very much realised that I was hiding behind it. And the fact that I was hiding this thing that I didn't want anyone in the world to know about was stopping me from fully showing up as myself. And I always knew, even as a little girl, that it's something that I would share, even though I was scared at the thought of it and I knew that I didn't really want to. It came, the time felt right where I was ready to start talking about it. And part of the reason that I was ready to start talking about it is because I believe that everybody has their version of my birthmark. It's like almost a metaphor. And so it might not manifest itself in the way that mine does, but there's something that you're hiding or something that you feel shame around. And that is holding you back, even though you think that it might not be, it's holding you back. And I don't advocate that people need to go onto social media and tell the world about it. But by admitting it to yourself, even that this is something you feel fear around, or this is something you feel shame around, allows you to then own that story and own that narrative instead of it continuing to help own you. And so I came to the conclusion that by me sharing my story helps give permission to other women and other people to share that story too. And also I knew, and this is something I talk about in the episode, is that I knew that I wanted to be who I needed when I was a kid as well. And that's a thread that runs through quite a bit of my work on the self-worth side, but most definitely when it comes to this. So that was the reason I found it so hugely emotional to watch this Misfits Like Me story and see this girl called Aisha share her story. Because although I don't have vitiligo, I know what it's like to have a skin condition, stroke, a different thing on your face that makes you visibly different and draws attention. And to see Aisha go through it in such a public way, it just meant a lot to me. So I spent a lot of it going through a lot of tissues. And anyway, as I watched the episode, I was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. This is amazing. And the thought came to me as I would love to interview her for my podcast. And then, as you do, I don't know if anyone else does this, but you might be watching something and then you're interested in the person. So you go onto Instagram because, Instagram. And in actual fact, in the episode, there's a bit where she's with another girl, I think called Eva, and Eva's quite a Instagrammer, and Eva makes her take a photograph for Instagram without her camouflage makeup on, which was a massive, massive step for her. So obviously from that, I knew she was on the gram anyway. So I searched her out on there, started following her. We just started interacting, had a few conversations on the grid. And then she, a couple of days later, she messaged me. She's like, "Oh, I see you've got a podcast. Any chance you might want to have a chat for it?" I was like, "Say what?" Literally, this was probably within a week. A week ago, I had been watching her on the documentary, thinking to myself, "Oh, it would be awesome to have her on the podcast." And it was totally my plan. I was going to just kind of Insta stalk her for a little bit, get to know her, and then ask her. So for her to then in turn look at my Instagram, see that I had a podcast and say that I would love to be on it, was just like, yes, it just shows the power of social media when we use it in good ways, right? And we take ownership of it and not let it take ownership of us, but that's another story. So we then connected and we spoke for the podcast, and this is what this episode is. It's our conversation. So now this podcast, the Dream and Do podcast, is about women that are living that are dreaming and doing in action. And that looks like different things for different people. And I'm really keen to get a breadth of what that looks like. I know that I have a lot of brand owners, business owners, entrepreneurs on here, women that have dreamt and done in that way. But what I always try to do within our conversations is draw out them, their story, their journey, who they are. And very often in that dreaming to doing, it's maybe that they set up this amazing brand or business, but it's more about what they desired to do, what they dreamt about and what they did. And what I love about the topic of dreaming and doing, which is where I'm able to put in the creative mentoring and the self-worth kind of affirmations work, is the fact that so many of us dream about feeling worthy, dream about feeling better about ourselves, dream about living our best lives. And for some of us, some of that is weaved into creating this brand or this business, but for some it's not. And even those that it is, it's kind of wider than that. It's creating a life, isn't it? And my conversation with Aisha is very much an example of that. She dreamt of being able to regain ownership of her vitiligo story and be able to walk down the road without her makeup on. And she did that. And she continues to do that. And so I'm really, really just honoured to have been able to share her story, to help her with the work that she believes that she was put on this earth to do, and to share with you in this final episode of season 1 a different perspective of dreaming and doing. Everybody's got their own struggles, everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their own things that they're working through and overcoming, but ultimately we are all enough, and ultimately we are all worthy. And that dreaming to doing, I'm just excited to open up the breadth of what that looks like in this episode. So I really, really hope that you enjoy listening to it as much as I did recording it. It was a real personal one for me because of everything I've just told you about. So I would love to know what you think about it. Hit me up on Instagram. It's all exciting. And I just need to mention the Dream, Do and Flourish Mastermind. We kick off on the 1st of November. So if you are interested, then hit me up. And there are going to be some solo episodes coming up real soon as well, because I know those are really popular and I've not done one in a wee while because I've been doing these kind of conversation interview series. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my conversation with Aisha. Please bear in mind that the sound quality for this episode isn't as good as the other ones, but keep going because the content is absolute magic. All right then, guys, enjoy. Welcome, Aisha, to the Dream and Do podcast. I am so excited to have you here. I was just on my Instagram stories earlier talking about how excited I am to be interviewing you. This podcast is all about, so I do some episodes that are just me, and I do some episodes that are interviewing women who are dreaming and doing in action. And to have your story just adds another dimension to that notion of dreaming and doing. Yeah. And for those listeners that don't know, I have a birthmark on my left eye that I've only just got comfortable enough to share kind of with my audience. So some of my listeners will know already. But to talk to you about your vitiligo and your journey is just, it's a really kind of on a personal level, it means a lot. So thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me on the podcast today. I'm really, really happy and excited to get chatting.
So can you just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what your background is?
So my name is Aisha. I'm 26. I have a degree in biomedical science. I love science. I mostly specialise in that. I was in the BBC documentary Misfits Like Us, where I spoke about having vitiligo and finding my confidence again after 6 years of covering it up and not really showing anybody, to now going makeup free. So yeah, that's me, and that's my journey, and currently just kind of working on loving myself and loving my vitiligo and accepting the changes that it brings every day.
You look so happy. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Anyway, I can just see the you look so radiant, like the happiness is oozing out of you.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you. I actually am really happy, because I waited a long time. 6 years is a long time to wear makeup every day and not feel comfortable in your skin. So now that I feel like I've broken that barrier, I am a lot happier, and I can do the things that I've always wanted to do. And now it's like, now that I've done this, I know that I can go on and do other things as well. And it's just, I'm so grateful that I had not just the opportunity to be on the show, because it wasn't just about the show, it was more about the people and the interacting with the people that really changed me and inspired me to really get myself working, my confidence working again. So yeah, I'm a lot happier.
Amazing. So let's go back to the beginning. When did your vitiligo start to develop?
So my vitiligo started at the age of 8. It started, I think, in the corner of my left eye, and it was just a little patch. And obviously I was 8, so I didn't really pay it any mind, but I remember seeing it. And then it started to spread a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. So my mum took me to the dermatologist and was like, she has this random patch, and the dermatologist was like, it's nothing, go home, it will fade. And then I would say a couple of weeks later, it had spread like wildfire, and then it just kept going and going and going. And we went back, and they were like, okay, I'm going to refer you to a doctor. And that's when I realized, I was diagnosed with vitiligo. So that was the beginning.
Wow, at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And how did you feel? I know you were only 8.
Yeah.
But
I think, I was more frustrated with the fact that other people saw me differently. Because I was 8 and the perception of myself hadn't really changed. I knew that I looked different, but the fact that people were treating me differently, I had to go to all these appointments, I had to do like really uncomfortable things, and to do with treatment, that's what kind of took a hit to my personality and to my confidence. Not really the fact that I had vitiligo itself, just the fact that people were treating me differently. I'm like, I'm still Aisha, kind of thing. But yeah.
How did she handle it?
I think she she was very defensive, but that's because she loved me and she wanted, because I was so young, she wanted to protect me. But my parents, especially my mum, they did the best they could. And, when I would, because I was going through so many treatments, I would miss school trips as well. And so they really tried to make up for the fact that I missed trips, and, give me presents and, trying to inspire me. My mum really pushed me out there when I was younger to do a lot of theatre and a lot of singing.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, which was really good because I didn't realise at the time that she was kind of giving me an outlet. And it was wonderful and it was great, and I had a really, really good childhood.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I always feel like my birthmark started to appear when I was about 5, which is the same age my daughter is now. And I feel like when you have something that comes on and you remember before, adds another dimension to it. Doesn't it? Whereas if it's something you're born with, you're like, well, this is just me.
Exactly.
Whereas even at 5 years old, I remember the before, and I remember my mum peering at me because although it was a birthmark, I should explain, even though it was a birthmark, it didn't appear until I was 5 years old. But they call it a birthmark just because. I don't know. I do. Yes, exactly. So I remember like the doctors and my mum staring at me, just like, what is happening? And that was and then I felt like my parents never really addressed it. It was just kind of, I wanted them to maybe talk about it more.
I could definitely agree with you there, because even though it was so long ago, I don't remember my parents actually sitting down with me and being like, this is vitiligo, this is how it's going to be now, people are going to stare. I don't think my parents ever really had that chat, and it might be, I think it's more to do with the Caribbean thing.
Definitely.
Than anything else. People Caribbean parents, anyway. Than anything else. But they definitely did express it in the way that they looked after me and was constantly there. Both of my parents worked full time, but somehow they made the time for every appointment, every doctor's appointment, everything. They were always there and providing in that way. So even though there wasn't that much of a communication, they definitely took care of me.
Yes, yeah. And also I think now, like, I'm a mother of a 5-year-old and it's kind of, I know how I would handle it. My daughter Mia was to develop vitiligo or a birthmark, but I suppose you just know what you know at the time, don't you? So,
exactly. I knew that I had vitiligo. And that was it. And
So when did you start using makeup?
Right. So I was introduced to makeup, I would say around 9, because by the time, maybe even 8, no, I would say 9, because by that time I was at the hospital and they started introducing camouflage and stuff like that. But actually using makeup to cover my vitiligo, 20, but using makeup just, for embellishments and to look, snatched much earlier. But it's quite weird actually, because when people ask me, they were like, oh, so you've had vitiligo since you was 8? And I was like, yeah. So they're like, oh, you've been covering it since you was 8. I was like, no. I didn't cover before. I was like really confident in myself before. I only started covering my vitiligo when I was 20. Quite peculiar, but yeah, that's the story of the makeup. But I never covered before, not even in my teens, when the brunt of it.
Yes,
it was just like the complete fluctuation of it. I was like, no, I am proud. I'm a proud emo.
Amazing. You're an emo.
I was. Like, really, I'm not changing for anybody and everything, but yeah.
Even that's interesting, right? Because I don't know. I know we're kind of slightly different generations.
Yeah.
Slightly, I say a lot. No, I'm old.
No, you're not. You look great. You look great, guys.
Thanks, love. Oh. Thanks. But emos, when I was in school, were always wanted to be different. They kind of had their own style, listened to like the alternative music, and wanted to stand out for their difference. So maybe that's what fueled your confidence.
I think so. I really do think so, because I would say definitely when I first listened to rock music, what attracted me to it was just how expressive it was. And I didn't find that connection with other types of music. So that kind of music was like my outlet. I was like, this music gets me. I love the clothes, I love the style, and I'm different anyway, so this is my crew kind of thing. But yeah, maybe, I think it really did fuel my confidence. I was really, really confident when I was in my teens. And then it just kind of traipsed off in my 20s.
What happened to make it traipse off?
Do you know what? I think it's when I left secondary school, because I had such a great support system. Like, my friends were amazing. They were always there for me, and they understood me through and through. And then I went off to college, and we all went to different colleges. And that's kind of like where my confidence fell, because I don't know, my friends, I just don't know. And I think I grew up and I started to see myself differently as well. And not love myself as much. And I think I was putting way too much pressure on myself to be a particular type of person and to fit in. I thought to myself, okay, well, now I'm older, I should try a bit more to be normal, what I thought was normal, and fit in. So I think that's when my confidence took a tumble.
Right. Were you still listening to rock music?
I do still listen to rock music. It's hard to give up because it's so amazing.
Amazing. That's so interesting. So were you still friends with those friends? It's just that you weren't at the same college, so they weren't kind of there.
Yeah, they weren't there and everything. Even though we were friends and we spoke, it wasn't the same. We literally were just around each other 24/7. And I don't know why. It's so strange. Even when I think about it now, I don't know why my confidence was so strongly linked to my friends. I don't know. I think because we were all so close, and we were all so different, and they were like my tribe. And then it's like, so leaving, I guess it's like that. They were my tribe, and leaving my tribe, my confidence went with it.
It would be difficult at any time, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I always think that, like, I had a really lovely set of friends at school. Many of them I'm still friends with now, and they kind of perform. They kind of are like a bit of a protective
barrier,
aren't they, to the world? Because I suppose, my fear was always that I would get bullied, but then I had such lovely friends around me.
Exactly.
That wasn't going to happen because they weren't going to do it, and they wasn't going to let anyone else do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was so nice to hear that I was like completely opposite. I was like, I was so shy. I used to literally, when I was at primary school, sometimes the most I might say of the day was yes, miss, to answer the register, because I just wanted to hide and didn't want to be seen. So I literally contracted. I thought, if I don't speak and if I just make myself as small as possible, no one will notice me. So then I won't. So it's so lovely to hear that you were confident and loving.
I was extravagant. What? Extravagant was the word. At one time, I think I literally had 5 colours in my hair, like the Max Live song. The girls, literally like that. I loved that time in my life because I was very expressive and I was very open with just everything, and I was just myself.
You were just you.
I was just you, and I just embraced myself. But I embraced everybody, and there was like no room for like, oh, you can't be my friend. I loved everybody, and I was just like this wild child, and I loved that about my youth. So slowly but surely gaining that back.
Yes, you can see that coming full circle, which is just, I love it. So you started wearing the camouflage makeup around 20.
Yes.
How was that process?
So, like I said before, I never covered my vitiligo before, but my skin is quite dark, and my vitiligo, because I wasn't showing it, was quite pale. And so I brushed my foundation brush over my vitiligo with my chin, and I was like, that looks so much better. It's not so white and so out there. And then I wanted to do a better job of covering it because you could still see it. So then I just got obsessed with covering it. And then I got so used to people not staring at me with it on. And I liked the reaction that I was having from guys because I never had a boyfriend, and like no guys were really interested in me. And so I was like, I like this, everything looks uniform. And I never had that before. And I'd always been used to a couple of patches being over here, a couple of patches being over there. But now everything was the same. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm finally a black girl. You know, that's how, even though it's strange, even though I've always been a black girl, I finally felt like an acceptable black girl, which is sad. It's really sad when I think about it. But yeah, that was the whole process. And then I just got kind of sucked into living in that world and lost my confidence.
Wow. How much do you think your race then has had a part to play where you said you felt like an acceptable black girl?
I think it has a big part to play in it because I grew up, well, my parents they were Pan-Africanists. So I grew up with a lot of black books, black dollies, black everything. Everything is black, 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 black. and I loved it because it gave me a really great foundation. And I saw my skin as this sovereign crown, you know, of this blackness. And I was really proud of it. I was really proud to be a black girl. However, when I started developing vitiligo, I didn't know where I fit, you know, with my community and with my race. And I felt like other black people didn't see me as black, even though I'm sure that wasn't even the case. But that's how I felt on the inside. Like I wasn't black enough because my skin wasn't black. There wasn't that uniformity of blackness, of that radiancy. I didn't have that anymore in my mind is what I was thinking. So it had a big part to play. And I mentioned it in a documentary. When I was in secondary school, I felt like I didn't connect with a lot of the black girls, and I feel like they didn't want to be my friend because I was different, and that upset me. I was like, okay, well, I'm not acceptable to my kind because I don't connect with the black girls at school, even though I want to. When I go to specific places like Elephant Castle back in the day, it's like young people all used to go around Elephant Castle. I was constantly being bullied by my own kind, and I thought, okay, well, to me, I just didn't understand. So my race had a big part to play in it, and not feeling accepted, not feeling black enough. So when I did cover up, I was like, oh my God, I'm finally black. You know, I'm finally like the other black girls. Now I can, you know, there's no denying and there's no mistaking that I am black, even though I've always been black.
Yes. Did you notice any difference? Well, obviously there was a difference because, like you said, people weren't staring because you had the makeup on. But from the community, did you notice maybe people that had known before or?
But community-wise, there wasn't, let me think, because I wasn't very, well, I'd say like this, nobody said anything. Nobody really said anything. They kind of just accepted me the way I was. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, now she's wearing makeup kind of thing. There wasn't really any comments about it. But I definitely did notice more of a reception for black men. They were more interested in me, which I was so excited about because I just felt like I was completely unattractive and like I wouldn't be accepted by them. So there was that acceptance. So I would say definitely in that type of way, there was a lot more attraction. I was like, yeah. But that's the only thing community-wise, I was just, they just kind of accepted me.
Okay. And we'll talk about dating in a second because I was reading your blog earlier. So what was your relationship with the makeup like? So when you started discovering it, you liked it. Yeah. Did that continue or was it?
It did, yeah. I loved it. And I loved that I could use this and, you know, cover my vitiligo and still look so pretty, because where I had used it before, where I had other makeup artists had tried to cover it, it just didn't look right. And what upset me the most is that it didn't look like me. And that's why I never covered my vitiligo, because I felt like I looked in the mirror and I was like, that isn't me. Then when I started experimenting for myself, I was like, oh my God, I'm addicted to the way I look. I love looking this way. And I think it mostly had to do with the uniformity of my skin. I'd always been so picky with the way that my skin looked and the way it was so uneven in tone and nothing really matched. But with the makeup now, everything matched, and I could, you know, put on lipsticks, like enhance and eyeshadow. So I loved it. I really, really loved it. But what I didn't realize is that I was losing my confidence in the process, because to me, I was gaining confidence, but losing a lot of confidence in my natural beauty, and just I completely fell out of love for it. So, and completely in love with makeup and looking this one particular way. Yeah.
It's so interesting, isn't it? That thing that's feeding your confidence on one level is actually taking it away. I so identify with that.
Did you also use makeup?
Yeah, and I still do. Yeah, I haven't been out without makeup on before.
Yeah.
I started using it, and I started using it at 16, and now I'm 37. So yeah, I've not. And there was a stage when I wouldn't even open the door to the postman without my makeup on. Now I'm fine, and like people can come round and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't got to the stage where I'm going out.
Yeah, but it's tough. It's tough. It really is tough. And doing it by yourself is not easy, because in a way, you're your own worst enemy. You can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this, but you can also say, okay, I'm not going to do that, if that makes sense. And so I would say baby steps is just baby steps. Do little things at a time. Even for me, after the documentary, it was still a lot to go out completely no makeup. And so I thought to myself, okay, Aisha, it's about baby steps. You don't have to throw yourself into the fire. You've done it once, so you're completely capable of doing it again. But in order to get there, you have to take baby steps. And you have to be patient and kind with yourself, but also know when to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't, then you'll never get there. You'll never get there. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like I took a big step last year where I talked about the fact that I've got it.
Yeah.
Seen it. And some people have said to me, like, what's next, Nicola? And I was like, well,
it's coming.
That's coming, but I just don't know when. And when you're kind of scared, so you're just I'm just kind of waiting for but that would be the next step. But it is so interesting. It's like that the makeup is my crutch and gives me my confidence, but even now every time I put it on, it's kind of chipping away at it, because it's it's hiding the me, it's hiding the real me. And so it's that, so I completely
it's about finding that balance. It is finding that balance, and that's something that I realized that I had to do as well, because like you said, even though my makeup was giving me the confidence, it was also chipping away at my confidence as well. And I only realized that a good couple of years in deep, when I couldn't do the things that I had done previously. And so now it's about I still wear makeup, and I don't say makeup free, I say vitiligo free, because my vitiligo is out proud. And I still wear makeup. But it's about finding a way to use your makeup and wear your makeup, but to also enhance what you've got.
Exactly.
So that is a completely new journey for me now. I make my vitiligo, to highlight it, which is like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's like mind-blowing, right? And it's even that choice of words going, because camouflage makeup is to hide and to cover, isn't it? Whereas to enhance is to, and even that is just...
It's a lot. Like when I first started doing it, I'm like, okay, Aisha. And some days I literally have to push myself out of the house. I'm like, I'm going to do this, Aisha. And I remember this one instance where I was walking to the bank, and I would usually wear my sunglasses, because my sunglasses were like a filter for me. Even though I was completely not wearing any makeup, I still have my sunglasses on. So I was out the door, and I had the sunglasses in my hand, and I was like, Aisha, you're going to do this walk without the sunglasses. And I was literally doing this, moving backwards and forwards from the door with the sunglasses in my hand, until I was like, I'm not doing this. I've had enough of this. And I shoved the sunglasses in my pocket, and I said to myself, okay, we're going to walk to the end of the road. And if you feel unsafe when you get to the end of the road, you can put the glasses on. But if you don't, and if you're fine, don't put them on. And I walked to the bank and home without the sunglasses. And I was so proud of myself. But what I also realized is that it's the fight within. The fight within. Oh my gosh. Sometimes it can be so tumultuous. However, you learn so much about yourself in the process And I think it's just so enlightening and it's so brilliant. And I'm so grateful to be learning these lessons now when I'm young, so that I can pass on the experience and pass on the wisdom to others. And I wouldn't say, do this, go completely makeup free, walk to the bank, no one's going to say anything. It is, I still say it is about baby steps, doing things in your own time, but pushing yourself when it matters the most.
Yeah. Oh, that is brilliant advice.
Oh, thank you.
So how did the documentary come about then? So you were like, was it 6 years or 8 years, of wearing...
6 years.
6 years of wearing the makeup. And then Channel 4 documentary.
I know. It was really peculiar because if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I'd have been like, excuse me, I'd have been, no, I'm good, thank you, yeah, I'm fine, thanks, yeah. But I think at that time I was working at a school, and I'm not a morning person at all. I can get up in the morning, but I just don't enjoy it anyway. So I was getting up every morning. I started at 8:30, and I was getting up ridiculously early to just put on my makeup.
How long did it take you to put your makeup on?
It took me, I would say maybe 40 minutes. 40 minutes, yeah.
40, okay.
Yeah, to put my makeup on. So that's a long time, especially when
yeah.
Especially when you factor in also having your wash, putting on clothes and stuff like that. So the majority of my kind of like get ready in the morning was me putting on makeup, which didn't leave much time for anything else, and I just got so annoyed. So then I saw an advert on Instagram about vitiligo and a documentary or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to be on this documentary because I'm actually ready to talk about my story. I'm ready to talk about my experience. And I want people to hear it from a real perspective. I didn't want it to be glossed over or sprinkles over it and everything. I wanted to show them the reality of having vitiligo. So I applied, and I spoke to this guy called Paul. He was a part of Hello Halo TV. That's the people who shot the documentary. And, I spoke to him, and he was like, yeah, the BBC really like you and everything, whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's great, yeah. And then he told me that the producer wants to meet up with me. And so I met her with the producer, and I was like, hi. And he was like, yes, I'm going to be in the documentary, blah, blah. And then he was like, oh, I'd also like to meet your parents. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Because they obviously shot it in my home. And so he comes to my house, and my dad asked this really crucial question, which actually I never thought to ask. But my dad was like, so is the story going to be about Aisha, or is she just going to be a part of, just a part of the support group? And then the producer was like, it's going to be about Aisha. And I was like, oh, so from being casted to actually, producer comes to my home, I didn't realize that the story is about me.
If you had realized that it was going to be about you, would you have still done it?
I don't know. I think I would have. I think I would have been, definitely scared. A lot, I think I would have been scared, but I would have been like, I need to do this. And even when the producer mentioned me walking down Peckham High Street without any makeup on, I looked at him like he was literally crazy. I thought, are you kidding me, mate? You're taking the biscuit. I said I wanted to talk about my vitiligo, not
yes.
Wow, you're just trying to really throw me into the fire. But I'm so glad that I did it. It was such a big turning point, not only in my life, but in my mental health and the way I viewed my vitiligo. And I needed to know that times had changed, because in my mind, times hadn't changed. People were still the same, and people still had the same perception. And I did not realize that, even though so many years had passed. But on that day when I did that, I realized, oh my God, people have changed.
Yeah.
People have changed. People aren't staring, no one's saying anything. I was like, what kind of world have I been living in all these years, And I was like, I need to wake up, I need to brush myself off, and I need to put myself out there. So that's how the documentary started. And then rest is history.
So when was the documentary filmed? 'Cause I know these things are often filmed quite a long time before they're aired. And
It was filmed, I think, late October, early November of 2017.
oh, so it was fairly recently then.
Not too long ago at all. Okay. Not too long ago. So yeah.
Oh wow.
It was winter, so cold.
Yes. I was so proud of you. Like, I was literally in floods of tears watching it. And then you did it. I was like, I felt like I was walking down the road, and then I wanted to just walk with you and everything. It was such a poignant moment.
Yeah. And the music, you know what? Even me doing it, I don't know. It was a really big deal for me. But what made it easier was that I had the support group. I had the support group, and I knew that these people felt exactly how I felt and were supporting me every step of the way. And it just felt, oh my God, it was almost like euphoria, you know? For me, I love water. So being in water for me is like the most calming and peaceful and serene experience. And that's exactly what it was like. Yeah. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. But watching it back, I cried. I was like, oh God. Oh. Well, I got really emotional because I was so proud of myself, and I knew how difficult that was. It looked so easy on the documentary, you know, you're just stepping out and everything, but it was weeks and weeks of preparing myself for that, you know, constant conversations with myself to prepare myself for that. And I was so proud. I was so proud of me for doing that.
I was so proud of you. I think everybody watching was just so proud of you. And it's really interesting because you talked in the beginning about having that support group when you were your friends when you were at school.
Yep.
And so I can really see now how you were able to take such a large and big step because you had those guys around you.
And they were all so lovely. And one thing I was really worried about is that we wouldn't mesh. I mean, we wouldn't all get along, but we literally got along like a house on fire. And it was just great. I guess it was like for me being back at secondary school and having that circle of friends, that protection. And I knew with the support group in the documentary that I had the protection and I had the support, and just drawing on all of them, but it just made the difference. It made the difference.
Yeah, definitely. And am I right in thinking that you didn't know anyone that had vitiligo before meeting them? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Nobody didn't know anybody. So I never had any friends with vitiligo at all. Yeah, so that was the first time I was face to face interacting with people that had vitiligo.
My goodness.
And it was like, oh my God, you know, I'm not the girl with vitiligo. I'm Aisha. I'm just Aisha.
Exactly. And I find that so fascinating that it just shows part of where your mindset must have been when you're walking around thinking you're the only one.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is. And it's a very lonely experience. And although you have friends and family that support you, and that empathize with you and are always there for you, it's like that little piece that's left that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And having a person that also has vitiligo say the things that you think, it's just like, oh my God, thank God that you are here. Thank God that there is someone out there who is my friend that is experiencing the same things I'm experiencing. So it definitely really does make
a difference. Prior to the documentary, were you wanting to make connections with other people that had vitiligo, or was that not really?
I think I tried I would say in my teenage years. So I spoke to a couple of people, but all of these people were abroad. So I spoke to an African lady, but again, she was abroad, and this really lovely man from Chicago, he was also from abroad, and then this another girl who was also abroad. So although I was making connections, it wasn't like a solid friendship. It was just like a couple of words, hello now and then.
Right, okay.
I think, you know, I got disheartened and I never really tried. And I tried again. So I don't know why I didn't try again. Or I had the perception that there wasn't groups there wasn't groups out there, and there was no groups that I could join when there was, but I just never reached out, and I think I should have, because it would have made a big difference.
Massive, yeah. So the group of friends that you developed through the show, are you all still friends now? I know I saw on your Instagram you and Jyoti. Yeah. I've just been Instagram stalking.
Yes, we all still talk, and every now and then send each other a message. We went out in January, and yes, I met up with Josie last week Friday, which was brilliant. It was brilliant for both of us, and we did a live, and we just had a chit chat, and I was like, I'm so happy to have you, Josie. I'm so happy to have you, and I relate so much to her, because I feel like we're just so similar, you know. It's brilliant. Josie's brilliant. So yeah, still long talk with them.
Yeah, lovely. And I have to ask this question about your mum in the documentary, because there was a part where she was scared for you, wasn't she? And she was kind of wanting you to keep wearing the makeup.
Yeah.
And you managed that so well.
Oh, I think
you managed it so well, balancing kind of her desire to keep you safe as a mother with but I need to follow my own path. But I'm just really interested in how was she able to be kind of hands off and be like, okay, you go do you.
My mum, she's very relaxed lady. She's so lovely, and she's so loving, she's so kind, and she's never really stepped into my pathway and been like, no, you're not doing that. She's always given her advice and then left it up to me whether or not to follow it. And she's always been really supporting and really loving. So I know that everything she says comes from a place of love and protection. So I never took that in a bad way. But we had a conversation when the cameras were off, and I said to her, Mum, I really need to do this. I don't want to live my life like this anymore. I don't want to not be able to open the door to the delivery man, or not, go swimming, which I hadn't done it in forever, because I was wearing makeup, and I was so worried about the in-betweens of makeup and stuff like that. And she completely understood. I was like, Mum, I want to be free, Mum. And so she was like, well, if that's what you want. And I feel so blessed and privileged, because my parents are so supportive with anything that I want, not material-wise, but, academic or career. They're just like, okay, well, we will support you, we will support you, go and do it. We're behind you 100%. And so, I had my mum's support, and even though she was scared, Mum, I'm going to be okay. I can do this. And she's really proud.
I bet she was so proud. Just like I would, if you were my, I would have just been having that fear, definitely, because I could see that and I started crying again at that moment. I just cried the whole thing, basically. But just seeing that she was wanting to protect you, and that, but also the pride in that her daughter is doing this is true.
My mum has been there from the beginning, from the tiniest to all of its fluctuations. And so I completely understand her worry, and I completely understand her woes. Get it. Because if the roles were reversed, I'd be like, okay, maybe you shouldn't. I probably would say the same thing, but like I said before, my mum is so supportive. My dad very supportive. So yeah, they're so proud. And I think when I first walked to the bank without makeup, she was so happy. She was so happy for me. She was like, really, she. She was so happy, So she's just had my back.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So now do you wear makeup all the time? Oh, no, sorry, do you go makeup free all the time?
So not all. If I'm going out, then the majority of my vitiligo is on show, and I just wear my I cover. I know viewers can't see this podcast, but this patch right here, I just cover it there, so I have the uniformity of my vitiligo in the center of my face. But besides from that, I don't really cover it anymore. And it was baby steps at the beginning. So it was the patches above my eyes and in the middle. And then it was my nose. My nose was completely white. And then I was like, okay, this is good. I'm good here. This is good. You look great. You're hot, Aisha. You're hot.
You are hot.
So thank you.
Just saying.
And then I was like, okay, I wanna try this patch today. I want to try the patch beneath the nose. And I was like, okay, you ready for this? Yeah, I want to do it. It was the patch beneath the nose that I've shown now. And then really is I only cover this one here for uniformity because symmetrical reasons. A bit of vanity. But that's about it really. And I don't really cover it. It's just I'm like, this is me. This is what I like. I like this. I love this. I'm free like this, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But for the stuff that I spoke about in the documentary, like opening the door. Today I opened the door to the delivery man. yeah. And I go out and they take out the bins. And I've been to the doctor's surgery without any makeup on. And I've been to the shop and I've been to Shoreditch, all the way to Shoreditch, no makeup on. And so yeah.
And the world doesn't end. The world keeps spinning.
It does keep spinning. That's one thing I mentioned in my heart interview was like, I thought there was going to be a real apocalypse. The fire was going to come. The fire is going to come from the sky. I can sense it. but there was nothing. There was nothing at all. Yeah. Lovely and just so nice. And
so nice. I remember when I first shared about my birthmark, I was on a retreat with 12 other women. I'm in the room and I shared it and I got really emotional and they were all emotional. And then afterwards, one of the ladies said to me, like, how do you feel? And I was like, well, I feel open and I feel vulnerable. And she was like, what did you think was going to happen? And I was like, I thought the world was going to end.
Literally, I know.
And she was like, well, you're here and we love you just like we loved you beforehand. And I was like, yeah, but that's what in my head I thought that was. So the apocalypse, like that's it's so funny.
You do. And it's that kind of like irrational fear. But I think it's a collection of the negative experience that we've both had that kind of bottle itself up. And, you know, when you think about it, it starts to brew and it starts to bubble and makes itself bigger. And it's literally blocking you from doing what you want to do. And when you decide to steamroll it and push it out of the way, you're like, oh my God, you know, this fear and this all these negative emotions and experiences that have bottled themselves up, it's not real. It's not real. It doesn't. I wrote something in my recent blog. I said, don't let the negativity of your past paint the image of your future. And that's what I was letting my past experiences do. And now that I'm pushing that negativity out of the way and I'm fighting with myself, life is so much more enjoyable. So much more.
Yeah. Oh, Aisha, that is so powerful. Like, I've never thought of it like that. I've never thought of it as like our fears in some ways were grounded in something that in experiences, and weren't they? But then because they'd been suppressed for so long and hidden for all of these years, they had then become the apocalypse.
Exactly. It's true.
And that's what sitting on them almost had done to them. And I'd never ever, thank you so much. I'd never looked at it like that before, but that's exactly.
That is fine. It's just when you self-reflect a lot, and I'm an introvert, so I'm constantly in my head and thinking and feeling and listening to things that inspire me and talking to myself. This revelation produces itself, and I let the revelation lead me into happiness. Happiness is what I'm doing, and I'm just cutting down the fear. But it takes a lot of self-reflection to get here, and a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of kindness as well, because I realized when I was covering up my vitiligo, and I did that. Oh my God, I could show you a picture, Nicola, and I didn't even have as much as I have now. But I was so unkind to myself. And I was like, Aisha, why are you being so unkind? And it was that negative experience, again, that anxiety that I let stop me from loving myself and accepting myself the way I was, because I was convinced, because of negative experiences again, that I could not be loved and I could not be accepted. Completely untrue. Completely untrue. But yeah, breaking down those walls.
Wow. And so I have to ask you, so in the documentary you did encounter some negativity from those guys at the garage who I just wanted to punch. I was like, just bring me up in there. I'll get all West London on your arm.
You're not ready for me.
But you handled that so well. Literally, I was like sitting there getting all, and then I was like, no, but I can't jump in the TV. I just got to watch. I was just like, you handled that so well.
Thank you. It was really, really difficult, because I had always had the insecurity that I was wearing too much makeup. And so when they said that, it was like an automatic trigger. And I didn't know what to do. And like I said in the documentary, what would Ellie do? What would Ellie do? And so after that scene, I went into the restaurant where we all were having lunch, and I told the rest of the guys. And Alec was like, where is he? Where is he? No. Who does he think he is? Where is he, Aisha? I was like, Alec, come down. But I think what the beauty was of filming that documentary was that they gave me a lot of creative freedom. So they said to me, look, just ignore him. Even the cameraman was like, he's a dick. Sorry, excuse my French.
No, it's fine, yeah.
He's an idiot. Just forget it, ignore them. But they said the producer said to me, if you want to go and confront them, you're well within your rights. We're not going to stop you. We want you to do what makes you feel comfortable. And so I sat there for a while and I thought about it. And I was like, okay, I think at that time I realized, people are going to see this and it's going to be on television. What do I want the world to know about me? And what do I want this interaction to say to people who have vitiligo or who have other skin conditions? And I was like, you know what? I don't want to take it anymore. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to sit back and take this and tell the world it's okay to not say anything to people who are being rude to you. That's not okay. I want to tell the world it is okay to stick up for yourself. And so I said to the producers, I need to speak to these guys. I need to tell these guys that you upset me, you hurt me. And so yeah, I went in there and I was really nervous and I was really agitated and angry at first. But then I realized that these men are coming from a place of ignorance. They just saw another black girl with makeup on who was in front of the camera, and they thought, she's doing whatever she's doing, and so we're going to say something negative. And I want you to let them know that, look, it's not okay to say these types of things. And I know that your intention was not to hurt me. I understand that. However, in saying what you said, you hurt me. And something that they didn't put on the documentary was that I said, you're going to go home tonight and you're going to sleep well, right? You're going to get in your bed, put the covers on, and you're going to be out like a light. But I'm not, because I'm going to be thinking about what you said to me this afternoon. And it's going to take me a couple of days to get past it, a good couple of days to get past it. And I said to them, what if I was having a really, really tough day and yours was the comment that sent me over the edge? How would you live your life knowing that what you said determined someone to take their life or to hurt themselves? And it really sunk in. It really sunk in for him. And I was like, thank God. I thank God for pushing me to do that, to talk to him, because he didn't realize the power of his words. And I wanted people to see and realize that the things that we say, the negative things that we say, have a real effect on people. You may not see it in the moment, because we're all living our own lives, but know that something that you said 5 years ago is still sitting with that person 10 years later. And so yeah, that's that's definitely the complete reason behind why I went and spoke to those guys. I don't hate them and I don't dislike them. And, you know, I'm sure that he's learned something from that experience. And I've learned something from that experience and learned how to talk to people and how to forgive people for the negative things that they say. And I was so grateful for it. I really was. Yeah.
It was a real moment. It really was. And I think it was so powerful because I was just annoyed. I was just irritated. It's like, what gives you the right? Yeah. He didn't know that you had vitiligo, so he didn't know that it ran deeper. But whether it did or it didn't, he had no right to call out a girl across the road for having too much makeup, which I'm saying in inverted commas. Like, there was no... What gives people the right to think that they can comment on other people?
And you know what? I think I read some of the comments on the video, and I said, Aisha, don't read all the comments. Don't read all of them.
Never read the comments.
Yeah, I know. Don't read the comments, Aisha. But I was like, I read some of the comments, and some people were saying, freedom of speech. And I'm just like,
oh, that's just BS.
Stop, because we all have a right to live our lives. The Creator has given us life and determined that you are the cell that lives and shall have life and go forth and do whatever you want with your life, you know. But where do we draw the line with tearing people down because of their physical experiences? And I realized, you know, that I was on the other side now. I was on the other side where I am in the media, I am on the television, and people are gonna say things, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it freedom of speech. It's not freedom of speech when you're tearing someone down.
For no reason. No. You were just going about your business. Oh
my God, I was just
cool down. Definitely.
Think, you know, it had so much more to do with subconsciously than consciously. Because subconsciously they saw a young girl with a big, you know, camera crew and all the film staff, and they assumed subconsciously I was this particular type of girl who maybe in their mind subconsciously needed to be brought down a peg or two. So they not only said what they said, but said it loud enough
for you to hear. Yes.
They wanted me to hear it. They could have whispered it. They could have been like, you know, they could have said that. And, you know, I would have been none the wiser. But it was loud enough for me to hear. So you want me to hear it, you know? So I definitely feel like it had a lot to do with me filming them. Because I think if I was just standing there waiting for the bus, they probably wouldn't have even said anything. They probably wouldn't have been bothered. So yeah, I think it had a lot to do with me filming and them having this certain perception of whoever I was, actress, model.
Yeah. And then, like you said, wanting to take you down a peg or two, which is so sad in itself. But
it is.
Never mind, you added actually the deeper element of the vitiligo. And it just shows, like you said, the power of words and that you never know what somebody's going through.
You don't. And that's why I say to everybody, be kind. It is free. It is free to be kind. It doesn't cost anything to drop a kind word, to ask someone how they're doing. If something falls, pick it up and give it to them. You know, just be kind. It doesn't cost anything, and it makes you feel better as a person. And
well, at least you left them with such a profound lesson that they will never forget. They will never forget, and they needed to hear it, right? Like that happened because they needed that.
Exactly.
You got a lot from the experience as well, no matter how difficult it was at the time. But they needed.
Yeah, they needed that change of perception. They definitely needed that, and I think they got it.
So I've been reading your blog.
Yeah. Here it comes.
And I was reading the latest post about the dating.
Yeah.
Tell me about dating.
Oh gosh, Nicola. Okay. So yeah, like I wrote in my blog, I was like, you know, oh my God, I'm proud and I'm happy in myself. And obviously I'm single, and, you know, I'm going to be dating. Eventually I'm going to go on a date and a guy is going to see my vitiligo. And I had such a panic attack. And my first thoughts were just completely negative. There was just like an influx of negativity. And I was like, just hold on a second, Aisha. It's not necessarily this way, because you believed that when you walked out of your house for the first time without any makeup on, that, you know, it was going to be a complete catastrophe, but it wasn't. So that doesn't necessarily mean that dating is going to be the same way. You know, times have changed. So I wanted to see if guys had changed also. So it was such a scary experience. And in a way, I was overwhelmed by the response, because it was so positive. Oh my God, Nicola. I was like, wow. Yeah. And they were not phased at the fact that I have vitiligo. And I put up pictures of I'm showing my vitiligo and everything, put up a variety of pictures. So you saw all my patches in all its lovely vitiligo glory. And they were just like, is what it is. We'd like, you know, I want to get to know you. I want to talk to you. And they were like, you know, your personality literally radiates through the screen. I want to take you on a date. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to date. so yeah, I left. I got a lot of offers, but I was like, you know what, I'm not really in the space for dating or for anything romantic. And this is really for my blog. But yeah, I'm glad that my perception changed. And I'm not thinking of dating in this negative way. And I'm not assuming that all guys like one style of woman. Completely untrue. And yeah, there's prospects out for me when I'm ready for that. So yeah,
I love how you approached it with your scientific. Well, obviously you've got your biomedical background.
Yes,
approach it is so real scientific.
to collect the data.
Yes, exactly. And I was like avidly reading, and brilliant. And it's so good that you did that, because now you don't have that fear. You've got this amazing ability, Aisha, to talk to yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously, if you could bottle that, we could sell that, right?
Well, I'm trying to some money out, like how do you say?
And you have that ability. There's so many things that you've said during this conversation where you've been able to be like, oh, hold up, Aisha. It doesn't and that is such a powerful tool.
Thank you.
That is such a powerful, that is going to just put you in, well, it's done you well up to now, and it's going to do you so well throughout your life, because so many people don't have that ability to stop and look and kind of, I'm quite self-reflective, but I don't have it to that level where you're, it's amazing. It's a real credit.
Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you. I feel like I've just been I'm learning to love myself again. I'm relearning how to love, because I didn't know how to love myself. And what I thought was self-love wasn't actually self-love. So being really reflective helped me. And also actively listening to positivity also helped me, because even though I knew something like say your life is going to be like an affirmation, like your life is going to be prosperous, you are worthy of love, even though I knew that, I had to believe it. And so listening to positive things, surrounding myself with positive people, being particular about the types of places that I went, the people that I interact with, the things that I read, the things that I watched, really helped me, or is helping me, be more self-reflective and battle, I call it the dementors within. J.K. Rowling, when she came up with the concept of dementors, she says that it came from her depression. And the things that were sucking the life, literally, and the happiness out of her. And so that's how I saw my depression. That's how I see my negativity. And I see it as, I see it as the biggest combat or the biggest battle that I will ever have. So that's where my concern is. And that's what's really helped push me forward, the battle with self.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. And I just want to ask about Instagram.
Yeah, sure.
So how much has Instagram influenced? I know that there was the other girl who was in the group who was a makeup artist.
Yes.
And she got you to do the Instagram photo, and she's got quite a presence on Instagram. How much has that had an impact on your journey?
Right. So my Instagram before was private. I only had a small collection of people there, and I never, ever, ever posted myself without makeup on. It was always photos with makeup. And so when Eva was like, we're going to post a picture on social media, I was like, social media, Instagram. She was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it. It was petrifying. I think I was even more scared of posting the picture on Instagram than I was actually walking outside, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, because on the internet, you can be whoever you want to be. You can say whatever you want to say. And it can be such a place of negativity. And I was afraid that someone was going to say something negative. And so that for me, I was like, I was really scared. But when I saw the response that the picture had and still is having, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Things are not what I have made them out to be.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, why am I hiding myself away? There's a whole tribe of us who are so out there and so confident. And so many girls that I follow on Instagram, I'm just like, wow. Like the other day I saw this beautiful, I don't know her name, but beautiful girl with Vitiligo, and she was in a bikini and she was so curvy and beautiful. I was like, oh God. I was like, this is where I need to be. So slowly but surely, after the documentary, I started, slowly putting out pictures of myself without makeup, and it got such a great response. And I was like, oh my God. And so, now I'm not shy, now I have the confidence to post pictures without any makeup on, as long as my hair is done.
Your hair always looks really good.
Thank you.
I'm always changing hairstyles.
No, constantly. I'm like a chameleon. If I had the finances, I would have a different wig every day. Every day, Nicola, there would be a different wig, a different color. God knows, but hopefully in that sort of
one day, right? That's coming.
Hopefully one day. But now I'm just out there and proud, and I think what drives me forward is inspiring people also to be themselves and accept themselves the way they are. It just gets me every time. It gets me every time, and it hits me right here in my heartstrings, and it just makes a difference. And it pushes me on. Like I really want people to know that all the positivity that they've given me, and all the kind words, and all the love inspires me. So it's kind of like, that cycle again. I'm inspiring others, and others are inspiring me, and the circle is going on, continuing on. And it's just so brilliant to have that now, and to know that is available, because I believed that it wasn't available. I believed that people like me wouldn't have a presence on social media, would not be popular, and, definitely would have no male attention, nothing like that. But all of that has just been blasted out of the water, and that all those perceptions have been completely destroyed. And now it's like recreating, a complete recreation of social media. And I love it. I love it.
Amazing. Oh my goodness, I've loved this conversation.
Oh, thanks, Nicola.
So much.
Yay.
So what's next for you? Like, what are you, I know you said that you're wanting to help other people.
Yes, definitely.
With being more of themselves. Like, how are you wanting to do that?
I would love to be, even though I'm petrified of this idea, I would love to be a public speaker.
Amazing.
Okay, I'll put it out there. Love to be a public speaker and talk to people about the challenges in accepting yourself, but how much better off you will be for it. So I'd love to speak more about vitiligo and self-love and building self up, again, building self-confidence, I'd love to work with young people on that as well. And I'd love to be a constant presence in the media, because I realized that a part of the reason, a factor in me believing that I didn't have a space in these, really big industries, is because I never saw myself in these industries. And I was like, oh my God, revelation.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to see myself. And I realized the importance of seeing myself. And I'd only thought about it from a Black perspective, as in Black people have fought so much for inclusivity, for equal rights. And for some reason, that never translated to my vitiligo. And I was like, okay, well, I've done this documentary now. I am a voice. I am a vessel of inspiration. I need to be out there more. I need to be out there more. I don't mind the camera. I don't mind talking to people. I don't mind interacting with people, because I'm building my confidence. So I would definitely love to put myself out there and be in the forefront and be like, there is space for us. I used to have this belief that there was not enough space for me. And then with the self-reflection, I was like, Aisha, you make space. You make space for yourself. Which means there's no space for me. You push those people aside and you put yourself in the forefront, because people need you. And I never realized that until after the documentary and seeing the response that so many people need me. They need me. And I remember saying that to my father, with balancing a career in the media and a career in science. And I said to him, Daddy, I told him about a story of a couple of girls with vitiligo who I had inspired. And I said to him, Daddy, these people need me. I feel like I've gone through life knowing that I have this purpose of science and everything medical and everything to do with bones. But I also have a voice. I can be a beacon of hope and a beacon of inspiration. And I can be the reason why someone has left their house, showing that patch that they previously didn't show, showing that birthmark that they were afraid to show. I can be that. And if God is telling me I can be that, then why should I tell him, no, I can't do that? If God is telling me this is what I've put you on this earth to do, then I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to break those barriers within myself with his help and just trailblaze. So I definitely want to do that now.
Aisha, amazing. Well, anything I can do to help you with that. I'm going to be talking about you, obviously, for this podcast, but from this day forth, I can absolutely see that for your future. And I can see that it's needed as well. I really can. I feel like one of the things that in my work is that I want to be who I needed when I was younger.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. And it's like you've taken that and supercharged it.
Yeah.
You are who I needed. I feel really blessed to be having this conversation. And I feel one of my things that I always say is that when we see other women doing things, it opens up the possibilities. It does. Permission.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You stepping into this role is doing, and it is so powerful, that whole being Black women as well, when we don't necessarily see ourselves in certain spaces all the time. And I can totally with you. I'm there on that level, but then also seeing people that have vitiligo and other skin conditions, that's important.
Yeah, it is.
Well, isn't it?
It is. It's an imperative. Because I realized that I was representing on both fronts of being a Black woman and being a woman with vitiligo. And that voice is a necessity for women in general.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say just women in general.
In general, yeah.
We need to be out there, and we are out there. I've been inspired by so many women, and I want to be that source of inspiration. Like you said, I want to be the person I needed when I was younger. I want to be that person. I spoke with this young girl called Selena, and oh my God, I saw so much of myself in her, and her cry for help. It just licked me down. It just licked me down, and I was like, I need to do this. I need to do this for her, because I don't want her to go any further in her life thinking and believing the things that I thought and believed when I was her age because of the negative experiences. So definitely, I definitely want to move forward. And I know it's going to be difficult because there are still some people that, you know, won't accept you and won't accept me, but I'm not going to let that stop me.
No. I'm
not at all. I'm going to kill them with kindness.
Exactly, in the way that you do so beautifully.
Oh, thank you, Nicola.
Aisha, this has been such a lovely conversation.
It's been brilliant. Thank you so much for giving my voice a platform. Thank you so much.
I feel honoured to be able to have done, right? Like, yeah.
Thank you.
So where can everyone find you? What is your Instagram?
You guys, you lovely listeners, can find me on Instagram at Arabella, lowercase a, _bones, Arabella Bones on Instagram. And you will find me. And please, I love interaction. I really do. I love people that talk to me and having conversations. So please, feel free to message me, feel free to have a chat with me. I'm always down for a chat. So yeah, you can find me there on Instagram.
Brilliant. Okay, my love, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Thank you for listening. It is so appreciated. If you like what you heard, help your girl out by subscribing on iTunes and leaving a review. And I'll be picking out a reviewer each month to receive a very special affirmation card and print pack. So get over there to get yours. Sending you love and light as always, and I will see you really soon.